Underdogs of Addiction fam. Today's video is going to be an updated video. It's going to be on what does cocaine withdrawal feel like. And this is a very important video because I believe that those withdrawals they're really powerful. They can really get you to the point where you want to change, where you want to get treatment, where you want to get help. So I'm going to start off by saying, I started doing coke when I was 28 and a half years old, and I was introduced to it by some friends I used to party with, and I never used to stay out very late, but I started throwing these parties after the club, DJ stuff, have DJs come, this big warehouse. What do people do after 2 a.m.? You know what I mean? If you know, you know. And I was that dude who would just I could drink, alcohol was a stimulant to me too, so I could drink from 8 p.m. until 8 a.m. I could just keep going. But of course, inevitably, I tried it. And at first, I didn't really get much withdrawal symptoms. Like when you first start doing coke, the first couple years, I really didn't have bad withdrawals. I still was fine, but eventually it starts to build up in your system. The dynorphin in your brain, which is a chemical that tries to balance out your brain chemicals, starts to build up, which causes depression and all these things. And so I'm going to basically get into the thick of, you guys, what was cocaine withdrawals at the end of my addiction when I was at the peak of my addiction 2 years ago. So at the peak of my addiction, I got so bad into it that I started hustling, we'll just say that, to provide for myself and my addiction, just because with my addiction, I ruined my businesses. I ruined my music career. I couldn't keep a job. And so my life, I just became a partier. That was my life. I partied and I never did it that much until that last year of my addiction with it. And I was doing it probably for the last 6 months of my use of it. I was doing it probably minimum 3 nights a weekend. 3 nights a week. And that's because when you're hustling, you're just caught up in that life. So before, I used to just do it maybe once a week, twice a week max, mainly just once a week, because I've always been very, very sensitive to stimulants. So even if I just did it once a week, like a binge, I would be hurting. So first, I want to talk to you guys about the withdrawal symptoms. Most of us combined it with alcohol. So you're withdrawing from cocaethylene, which is a different substance. This is created by coke and alcohol together. I don't know many people who do one without the other. So you're having this horrible withdrawal, not only from alcohol, but also from cocaine. But I'm going to talk about the specific withdrawals that I've noticed from cocaine opposed to alcohol. So I'm going to talk about the withdrawals and also some of the just nasty side effects and really what just makes me sick when I think about using. The first thing is you wake up and you have terrible sleep, and you wake up, you're just kind of tossing and turning, and you wake up, your nose is stuffed. You can't breathe out of your nose. You might wake up with a bloody nose, which is, that's a really fucking fucked up time when you wake up and you look at your pillow and it's bloody and you're just man, where the fuck has my life gone? What the hell? This isn't me. This isn't the kid. This is not me. And yet it is something you're doing. And so I would wake up with that, but the thing I hated the most is how I would smell. People who do it, your body excretes all the cuts and all the stuff that's in it, and you have this. I would have this smell on my skin in my bed. I can't really describe it, but it's just such a distasteful smell that I don't like. And I would have this smell in my nose, and this taste in my nose and my throat. And I can't really explain it, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And I hate thinking about it when I could still taste it and think about it. And I just had so many of those mornings where I woke up in the summer that last year and I had that feeling and my nose was clogged. And then I'm drinking so much tequila that I'm having a horrible hangover and I'm dry heaving because I have nothing to puke out. And one of the main symptoms from withdrawal from coke that really hurts is we're manipulating, our dopamine, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters, but primarily the dopamine. So you're shooting your dopamine up so high. So if you got some good stuff and you're feeling really, really good, guaranteed you're gonna feel just as bad. You're gonna feel just as bad. And I mean those cocaine come downs, those super low depression lasts for days, and then you topple that on alcohol, which alcohol is a depressant, and that just it makes you, if you've ever felt suicidal or really depressed after going through something hard in life, it's like the cocaine, if you do it, it'll manufacture that feeling of that low depression of like a heartbreak or losing your career or losing a family member or just feeling hopeless, and it'll manufacture that artificially. And I've had it last up to a week, and it's just the worst feeling. You just feel lifeless. You have no life. You get really, really angry when you're withdrawing. I notice when, like, I'm normally a happy-go-lucky, positive guy, and when I would do that shit, the next couple of days I was just angry. I was snapping at people. I'm not sure the exact science behind why it makes you angry. I'm assuming it just has to do with the neurotransmitters. So there's that intense anger. There's that paranoia. Every little sound, everything, you're paranoid. And that the main withdrawal that really is the hardest is the dopamine withdrawals, because you shot your dopamine so much artificially, and then your body's also producing a chemical called dynorphin, which Annie Grace talks about in This Naked Mind, that it's a natural chemical your body produces to help create homeostasis in your brain. And so what people don't know is when you're using these drugs is that your body doesn't like these artificial things coming into your brain, and your body will naturally try to dilute and find equilibrium by releasing dynorphin. And so that's like a really cool thing that really helped me in recovery, realizing like at the end of the day there's no point to continue this, because eventually, the further along I got in my addiction, the less and less pleasure I got. And that's just how it is. People who use drugs, like if you're not addicted, like you have to use them recreationally and safely. Test your drugs and use them recreationally. I think drugs can be fun for certain people if they're tested and they're not used addictively. But for those of us who use it in a way that I used it, it leads you just to these dark withdrawals, these dark come downs. And I remember, just like waking up and being like, fuck, as much as fun as I thought I had last night, dude, this next 5 days is going to be miserable. And those 5 days you're recovering, some people recover quicker. I have a genetic mutation called a slow COMT. Look that up. And my body doesn't process adrenaline and neurotransmitters as fast as other people. Anyone with that gene break, you could have fast COMT, slow, or normal. I had friends that had fast, so those are the friends of yours that could just go through so much stuff. They could just keep going and going. They can drink all that like they can keep rolling and they recover in a couple days. I'm the slow COMT genetic break, so I'm very sensitive to caffeine and any stimulants, so yeah, I would have really, really, really bad withdrawals and come downs, and it would last for days because my body took so long to decompress everything, and I would just feel hopeless and lifeless. I wouldn't feel like I was in this world. Like I said, your bed has you're sweating, stench. You don't want to talk to nobody. You're just isolated, and you're just like thinking to yourself, you're like, bro, like I wasted $200 last night, drank all this stuff just to have like 3 or 4 hours of like fun, quote unquote, and stimulation, and then to suffer for the next 5 days to a week. And eventually, that's ironically what got me clean. Is I just couldn't take those come downs and withdrawals, and even the few lapses I've had in the 2 years that I've drank. I mean, the 2 years that I've been in recovery. I went right back to those horrendous come downs and withdrawals, and so I automatically was like, nope, I'm good. So the lapses I've had, they haven't lasted. It was like one and done, and because I'm quickly reminded, like, oh, this is not what I want as I continue to work on my recovery, so I don't have relapses. those quickly remind me. And so making this video helps me too, because I have to always remind myself, because when you're becoming your new self, that old self still likes to creep up, and it's way less than it used to be 2 years ago. But sometimes I still have that little devil in my head that's like, oh man, that could be fun, this could be fun. But every time it may be fun for a couple hours, and then you pay for 5 days. But if you keep doing it and you keep having that little lapse weekend after weekend, eventually you get back to the point where the drug no longer gets you high, that it's no fun anymore, and it's just all bad. And that's what happened to me towards the end. Is when you're doing that drug all the time, it's just, there's nothing good. You don't feel good anymore. You don't like it. It's a lose-lose situation for those of us in recovery. So that's kind of the main withdrawal symptoms you'll deal with. For some people, I have friends where they recover in a couple days. If you're like me, it might take you anywhere from 4 to 7 days to feel normal, like feel of life. And when you're using those drugs and coke and alcohol, you're depleting your body of B vitamins, of neurotransmitters, of essential nutrients and vitamins. So you really feel like a fucking zombie. Like it really fucks you up. And so anyone watching this, if you haven't done the drug, please don't try it. Just leave it alone, especially if you have addictive tendencies. I'm trying to think if I'm leaving anything out. I just remember withdrawing and like really needing to go to the store, and I go to the store and I'm wearing glasses, and like I run into people I know, and I'm literally just avoiding people because I feel so detached from life. I feel so out of it. There's no serotonin or dopamine in my brain, nothing to make me feel good. And it's really a spiritual war when you're doing these drugs. I believe that the devil uses drugs, alcohol, any type of addiction to kill your spirit. And one of the things my brother told me when I came back from rehab one time was like, man, I could see the light in your eyes again. And that made me think, and I was like, man, like, that's so true. Like when you're in that addiction, it takes the good in you, it takes it out, and you escape for a couple hours, and that you get that artificial good, but it's not real. And so that's how it feels, and when you're withdrawn and you're wasting your time, you don't show up to work. I've had many friends, including myself, lose jobs. People who are self-owned business owners lose clients, because it wipes you out. You have no will to do anything. And even if you are a tough son, SOB, eventually it's going to take you to the point where you're just like, I can't show up. It take everything from you. And so that's like the worst part of once you withdraw regularly and you're doing this drug regularly, is you're not going to the gym as much. Once you fall in one area, especially with something like coke, with such a powerful drug, it robs you in all areas. And that's the reason why I stopped. And I'll do another video on alcohol, but really alcohol and coke to me always went hand in hand for the last 5 years. And so that's all I really have to say about it. If anybody who's watching this, I know a lot of you guys watching this are struggling, don't be ashamed. I'm new to recovery as well. I have not been perfect in my recovery. I've been in recovery 2 years. I've had relapses, but I keep growing and keep learning, and we just don't give up, and we keep trying, keep throwing things against the wall, keep being vulnerable and trying new things and being willing to get help. Whether you need to go to treatment, smart recovery, AA, church, get therapy, join yoga, join MMA, all these things. You got to learn to build your own recovery program. I went to an $80,000 recovery program. That's an amazing program. And I got like scholarship to most of it. Like it was a blessing from God. Like I literally prayed for that. And what I'm saying is that you got to be willing to just try anything. Sorry, they're like working on outside. They freaking me out with the damn ladder. But anyways, guys, that's my video on cocaine withdrawal. Get help if you need it. Tell me about your experiences in the comments below about what it felt like for you to withdraw from this drug. Take care.